This is Gemara and Kesubos Daf Ayin Beis. All learning for this month. The month of Elul has been generously sponsored as an incredible schos, the Aliyat Neshama of Reyzel Basar Meir, Amir Hashem. The learning of the entire Chabura should bring us Reyzel Basar Meir to a higher place in Gan Eden Shamayla. And we're holding on the last line of Ayin Aleph of Beis, in which the Gemara says, "Ha-madir es ishtai." The Gemara quotes the Mishnah that teaches us if someone makes a neder that his wife cannot go lebeisa avel, lebeisa mishta, to either a mourner's house or to a wedding. Says the Gemara, Bishlam lebeisa mishta. I understand that if someone makes a neder that his wife cannot go to any chasana, ikol noel b'fanel. I understand what the issue is. The issue is that he's noel b'fanel. The issue is that he's disallowing his wife from partying, disallowing his wife from the social scene that she needs, and therefore that's the reason why that Yosef eating suba. However, says the Gemara, Elul beisa avel mai. But if someone tells his wife she can't go to the beisa avel, what's the big deal? Why is it so important? Why is that such a necessity that if she can't go to the beisa avel, all of a sudden it is Yosef eating suba? What form of shutting the door is there? So answers the Gemara, Tana, you know why? She thinks the next day that she could die and no one's going to eulogize her. If she doesn't go pay other people a shiva visit, she's nervous that people will do the same to her. 3 lines down in Kolberia Saifna, not necessarily that no one will eulogize her, but no one will bury her. Tanya on this vein, what is the meaning of the pasuk that says it's better to go to Avel's house than go to a Beis Mishta than to go to a party. And the pasuk concludes, this is the end of man and living. He takes it to his heart. So what this refers to is matters of death. What does that mean? The safed yifavduna, the kavri kavruna, the adol yidluna, the lava yilavduna, the toen yitaninu. Explains the Gemara that what does it mean you take it to heart? What it means is that if you go and you're maspid someone now, then you think others will do the same to you. When you bury someone now, they'll come to you. When you raise your voice and cry for someone now, they'll cry for you. When you escort, you'll malava the dead, they'll do for you. The tanya teninu, and you carry the dead, they'll do for you. So every person, the human psyche says that if I'm going to do this for someone else, they're going to do it for me. And therefore she feels that if I'm not able to go to pay a shiva call, unfortunately when my time comes, no one's going to do the same to me. Continues the Gemara 8 lines down to the 2 dots in Mayatoyin Mishum Davar Acher Rashai. The Mishnah said an open-ended statement that if she says that it's due to Davar Acher, if he says that he's not going to be made for the neder because of Davar Acher, says the Gemara again, one more time. Not that he makes made for neder, one more time. He says that he makes a neder that she cannot go lebeisa avel lebeisa mishta because of davar acher, because of something else. What does that mean by davar acher? Amar Rav Yehuda Shmuel mishum bnei adam prutim shemutzviyin sham. If he says the reason I don't want you to go to the chasana is because there are prutim, then we listen to him. Amar Rav Ashi lo yamarno dischazik aval lo yischazik lav kol kamine. Says Rav Ashi that's only if it's a known thing that such a situation, such a party is an inappropriate party. But if he's just making it up on his own, says the Gemara, he doesn't have the power to make such a neder. And the Gemara continues quoting the Mishnah that if he says to her, on condition they're going to say to me something, you'll say to someone else something, then yoytze v'yiting suba. Says the Gemara, why? V'tema. Let her just do whatever he says. Go tell Reuven whatever he says. What's the big deal to repeat over something? And it doesn't mean just to repeat over something. It means to repeat over either private matters or something inappropriate, etc. When we continue quoting the Mishnah says that if he says in condition you fill up and pour out to the garbage, then she has to get divorced right away. Again, the Gemara asks, let her just pour this item to the garbage. What is the big deal? What this is referring to is this is a euphemistic language. It means that he's telling her you should fill yourself up with tashmish, with zara, and pour it out. You shouldn't conceive, you should pour out the seed. The Mishnah learned that she should fill up 10 pitchers of water and pour it to the garbage. So two explanations what it meant in the Mishnah of fill up and pour it out. The Gemara asks the obvious kasha. According to Shmuel, that it means that he tells his wife she can't conceive, she can't have children, she has to turn over and spill out the seed. I understand. Enough. The Mishnah says she has to pour 10 cups into the water. What's the big deal? Tiavid, let her just do it. You know why? Because she looks like a crazy, deranged woman sitting there filling up water and pouring it into the garbage, and because of that she could demand her ksuba. So it makes an eder that a woman cannot borrow utensils from a neighbor, or she cannot lend the sifter, the sieve, or echayim, and the mill, the tanner, or the oven, yaitziv eating ksuba. Why? We see how important it is for a woman to have a social life. Because people are going to start talking about her. She doesn't want to lend any item. She doesn't borrow any item. Tanam Yachi learned the same in her Raisa, 5 lines from the white lines. Hamadir as this shall teach of Lotashal Napa of Kivra Chaim Tani Yud Vidik Sub Nation Messiah Shem Rav Shchein to sell Chainisha Nadra Shalotishal, and similarly if she makes an eder not to borrow Shalotashil or lend Napa Kivra Chaim Tani Shaltaroig because of Nam Lavanav, and the price adds in, or she makes an eder that she will not sew beautiful clothing for their children. Again, the same entity that we're seeing right here, the reason why she can demand her ksuba is because she gets a bad neighbor, she doesn't borrow, she doesn't lend, she's not around. And we continue with the Mishnah on the second half of Ayin Beis. Amud Aleph says the Mishnah of Ilu Yaitz Shaloi B'Ksuba. Till now we were talking about cases in which she could demand the ksuba, in which she seemingly has a rightful demand to that which went on. Now the Mishnah said the following women get divorced and do not receive their ksuba. Ha'ivara saldas Moshe, she transgresses the halachas of Moshe, seemingly the Raisas v'Yehudis. Ve'ezeh Moshe, and we're going to figure out what exactly this means. Says the Mishnah, Ma'achilas l'sheinu ma'usar, she feeds her husband foods that do not, without taking off meiser. Misham shasei nida, she sleeps with her husband Rachmana litzlan when she's a nida. V'lo'kaitzla chala, she does not take off chala. V'noideret, she makes the darim ve'edim hakamas. Those are all das Moshe, the Raisas. Ve'ezeh das Yehudis, what's the first of das Yehudis, Jewish, Yiddish things? Yoitzev Reish Paruah, she goes out with her hair uncovered, v'tava b'ashuk, she spins in the marketplace, v'mderzim kol adam, she speaks with everyone. Abba Shalom, Afam Kalelis Yolada, Bifanav, says Abba Shalom, I'll add on another thing. No, it refers to that she curses his parents in his presence. Rav Tarfin Aimer Ava Kailanis, so too says Rav Tarfin, no, it refers to a noisy woman, says the Gemara, Vezeu Kalanis. She talks in her house and her neighbors are going to hear her voice, and of course we're going to discuss exactly what this is referring to. So says the Gemara, the first part of the Mishnah said, Ma'achilav she'ina ma'ushar. Heichi dami, what's the case? And this is going to be a theme that's going to repeat itself numerous times, so let's pay attention. Says the Gemara, what's this case that she's feeding him something without taking off meiser? Eat the yada if her husband knows, nifresh, just don't eat it. If he doesn't know, so how does he know right now that he's divorcing her? She says, a certain kain came and took off the appropriate meisters from the pile. So the husband goes and asks the kain, and that's when the husband realizes that his wife is lying, and that's when he's allowed to divorce her and does not have to give her ksuba. We continue the Gemara. Again, the exact same question. If you know she's in Nida, don't sleep with her. He's allowed to believe her. An important rule that a Nida is able to count on her own. A Nida has an admonish and emor of a safra law. Shivas yamim law latzma. She has a believability and credibility. So how could the husband ever know? Answers the Gemara. She says that a certain chacham was mitar the blood, vazal shal, and he goes and he asks that chacham, v'shtakach sheikra, and he finds out his wife is lying. Similarly, says Rav Yehuda, if people in the neighborhood are talking that she is a nida, then that gives her the status of a nida. And then if he was prior with her, he gets malchus as if he was together with a nida. And we continue 6 lines in the very lines below. Kotzel chala. She doesn't think of chala. The same question. Echidami. Idi yada never she yada manal yada. A certain man took off and fixed up dough for me, and we find out that she is lying. When she makes nadarim, it doesn't fulfill them. Due to nadarim, children can die. Your mouth can make your flesh sin. What does it refer to? So one's mouth, Rachmana litzlan, could cause harm to the children if one does not keep his nadarim. So if she's a woman that's menader, she makes nadarim, it doesn't fulfill her nadarim, that's reasons for divorce, and the husband does not have to pay the ksuba. Continues the Gemara in the first wide line, a different source of Nachlan Amar Miach l'shav ekisi benechem l'shav for noat al iski shav on matters of noat for nadarim. Tani Rameir Oimer. If you know about your wife, Rachmana litzlan, and she makes nadarim, does not keep them. You should go and you should provoke her to make the neder in front of you. If she makes a neder in front of you, what does it help? Go and incite her to make the neder and then the offer laws. We've seen the husband has the ability to be made fair the neder. No, it can't be. It could be that right now you could cause her to make the neder and be made for the neder, but a person cannot live with a snake in the basket. She's eventually going to get away with the neder and cause Rachmana some harm to the children, and therefore explains the Gemara, you do not need to do such. You should go and separate again. Again, you can't live in such an environment. Chala is a constant occurrence, and therefore in the case of chala, there is more of a reason to assume that the wife will cause her husband to stumble, and therefore the Amman Dumber does not necessarily hold it's such a big deal in the other scenario. And we continue in the Gemara, 2 lines to the bottom. Mezau das Yehudis. The Mishnah says, what's das Yehudis? Yoit Sever Raisha Parua. She goes out with her hair uncovered. Asks the Gemara, Raisha Parua. Daraisa, that's a din daraisa. Chsiva Baras Raisha Isha. We see that it's a din daraisa for a woman to cover her hair. So asks the Gemara as we turn over Tayim Beis and Beis, why is the Mishnah calling this das Yehudis? This is a straight up daraisa. Explains the Gemara, it's referring to kolsa shab midaraisa kolsa shab erdami. Das Yehudis avilu kolsa nami aser. Then on the daraisa level, it would be enough for her to kolsa, to cover her head with some sort of basket, which at some level is covering your hair. It just, some of the hairs are seen through it. That works on the daraisa level. But on the Das Yehudis level, that's where even that does not suffice, and she needs a proper covering. Kolsa. If someone wears this basket, there's no issue that her hair is uncovered. So if Zero was thinking about this, if she's going out in the marketplace, then Das Yehudis says she has to even cover her hair entirely. In the courtyard of her house. Says the Gemara, in a startling statement, if we're going to require her to cover her hair even inside the privacy of her own courtyard, then you never left a girl who could remain living with your husband. The Gemara seemingly says that, as Rashi explains, that the normal thing was for a woman in her own privacy of her courtyard, that only her own family sees her to uncover her hair. So why are you telling me that she has to wear this covering even in the chatzar? No, it doesn't mean in her own chatzar. It means in a semi-private area, but other people are going to see her, and that is the reason why she has to cover her hair in such a area. And the Mishnah continues that if she spins literally in the marketplace, that's called the Das Yehudis. What is this referring to? It's referring to that she exposes her arms to people, and that is a violation of Das Yehudis. It might not be a Daraisa like Das Moshe, but that is a violation of Das Yehudis, and that is the reason why you could divorce her and not give her a ksuba. He takes a little bit more extreme. It means she spreads her literal face, which means she opens her legs and people can see her private parts of her thigh, and that's what the Mishnah is referring to. Umedaberes in Kol Adam continues the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel b'Mesachekes im bachurim. What is this referred to? That she jokes around with young men, a terrible practice, and that is what the Mishnah says. You could divorce her and not give her ksuba. Amar Rav Rachana zimnin chada because in labas either ukva chazid li arbaya sort an Arab woman davi yosef koshadi pilcha vitava very kenego baneha, and I saw her spinning, and I saw her that she opened up her face, she opened her legs, and everyone could see down there. Kima the chazinte when she saw us pasikta le pilcha shadite. What did she do? She threw down her spindle, she threw down her sewing utensils, and Amra li, and she said to me, Oilam havli paloch. And she said to me, young man, please pick up my spindle for me. Amar bo Rav Ukva milsa mai. So we're at that moment, Rav Ukva made a comment about her behavior, in which she said it's as if she's violating Das Yehudis. My Amar la, Rav Ukva milsa. My Amar ba, Ravina Amar Tava Bashuk, he called her Tava Bashuk Amar ba, Rabbanan Amar Medaberzim Koladim Amar ba. A bit of a debate, which was the issue that this woman did, but these are examples. Of course, this woman wasn't Ivor, she was an Arab woman, but we see from this story what is the definition, says the Gemara, of Das Yehudis. And we continue about 12 lines in the wide lines, the two dots, she curses Yoiladav, his parent, in her presence. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel b'mekaleles Yoiladav b'fnei moilidav. What this refers to is she curses her husband's parents before his children, not before the husband, before her husband's children. What's referring to is, says Rabba, may a lion devour her grandfather, cursing her husband's father, Bab Ebrei, in front of her son. And Rav Tarfin Omer Ava Kailanis, my Kailanis asks tomorrow Amar Vidam Rishmo b'Mishamas Kola al Iski Tashmish doesn't just mean a woman who talks loudly. It means she raises her voice regarding Tashmish that could be heard even outside. Masnita Tana b'Mishameshes b'Chatzar Zuvin Shretz Kola b'Chatzar Acheres. Says the Mishnah, what refers to is when they have marital relations in one house, where they could hear a voice all the way in a different courtyard. That's what it's referring to. V'nisnaye gabe mumin. Ask the Gemara, why don't we list this together with a woman? This is a mom, this is a physical defect that she's screaming so loudly. Says the Gemara, you're right, it doesn't mean the second explanation, which is seemingly something which is out of her control, that she's screaming so loud, but rather it's the first explanation that she's talking very loudly. Let's just begin the Mishnah before we call it a day. Amaktish as Isha Menashe Ino Lena Darim, if someone marries a woman, she doesn't have the Darim, V'nimsa Lena Darim, Ino Mikudesh is not married. Konsastam, if he married a woman without saying anything, V'nimsa Lena Darim, Teisei Shlo B'Ksuba, he can divorce without giving her a Ksuba. Amenashe In Ba'al Momin, V'nimsa Ba'al Momin, she has a mom, Ino Mikudesh is not married. Konsastam, V'nimsa Ba'al Momin, Teisei Shlo B'Ksuba. What is a mum over here? Says the Gemara. The same mumin that passel by Koyanim or the same mumin that passel over here. And Amir Hashem will pick up from the Gemara in the next year. B'siyata Dishmaya.